Are you interested in Polkadot? Maybe you're someone who wants to buy more, or maybe you're just someone who wants to window shop and see what altcoins are out there. Well, this video is going to be for you because I am going to explain to you today why a very little amount of this high market cap project can set you financially free. All you have to do is just follow what I explain in this video, and hopefully your mind will be blown. Now, of course, as it goes, guys, if you do learn something new today, or you just simply stop at some point and say, I'm enjoying myself here, don't forget, jump down there and hit a like on this video. But also importantly, I want you to subscribe so this bull run, you can achieve your crypto goals. Stop BSing you're saying to yourself, and then you're scrolling down here and going, hang on, this guy's name's No BS Crypto. What's he talking about? He cannot be serious. Well, I'm not joking, because fundamentally, if we're going to boil all of what I'm about to say down, it comes to two different things: compounding and quality. First of all, multi-cycle compounding. It's a term, if you subscribe to this channel, you'll become very familiar with, because it's a very important principle everyone must know for success. Unless you're a 90 or 80-year-old man or woman, then it's probably not going to be the best thing for you, but everyone else, it really should apply. And second of all, of course, quality. There's a certain way we analyze projects in the crypto market. It is not going through things like metrics and all the charts day and night. It's none of that sort of stuff. There is a way to spot a quality project, and I am going to identify those momentarily. But first of all, you're asking the question, well, Kyron, Polkadot's $8.79 right now. That's a little bit high. If we go back about 1.5 years, right now we're about 2.5x up from the lows, and we're about 95% up from where we have been in that time as well, which means if we closed our eyes and picked a random point on the timeline, well, we would have had a 95% chance to buy at a lower point in time. So you might be thinking immediately, I'm late. I've missed the boat. It's all over, Red Rover. Well, would you believe me if I told you I'm buying altcoins even on charts that look like this right now? Because it doesn't matter on what the previous price action is. It matters where it can go still from the current point. Not everyone bought down here. Keep that in mind. A lot of these people were old holders from the last cycle, particularly those who were buying and bonding because of parachains, okay? We'll get into this momentarily here, but I do want to say, only at 2.5x up for a project like Polkadot this deep into the start of the bull run is not bad. Most projects are anywhere between 3 to 5 or 6x up. Just so you can take away and leave this video with some information that you can apply to your own altcoins, what I generally do is go on CoinMarketCap and hover over with my cursor, roughly speaking, where about 50% of the previous 12 to 15 months trading action was, to get a good idea of whether again or not we're buying at highs. Generally speaking, about 50% or around that level is a good time to buy. So again, that would mean that if you close your eyes and picked a point, you would run a 50-50 chance of basically buying at a time either just above or below this level. So yes, given the fact that we aren't too much higher than this level, is actually quite reasonable. But I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, 399 Polkadot will definitely set everyone financially free. What I get people kind of confusing on some of these videos is, Kyron, why do you talk about some of these projects going from such a small amount of money? In this case, 399 Polkadot is exactly $3,500. That's the reason why. So why $3,500 can set me financially free? Well, just understand this. It's not some clickbait gimmick. Financially free to someone, it might be different to yourself. For myself, financially free is about $10 million. If I had $10 million tomorrow, I would be able to allocate that for the rest of my life to make a lot more money, probably upwards of $100 million, and make a whole bunch of investments. For yourself, if you're a 7-year-old man or woman, you know, financially free is $100,000 to someone else. Maybe you're someone living in a third world country. Financially free could quite literally be $10,000. So just wait, because in a moment here, we're going to go over some price predictions. But first of all, you need to know why these price predictions I'm about to mention to you are even possible in the first place. There's 4 things we'll be touching on in this video, but it's important to recognize why I'm mentioning the first 2. The first 2 narratives, and what I will touch on momentarily here, which is the meme, are the most important things in a crypto project, at least for this cycle and every other cycle before. Might be different for the 2030 bull run. We'll get on that in a moment. The thing about this bull run, guys, is where the money flows, and think about this as I'm talking to you here. Where the money flows in a cryptocurrency Doesn't matter on how much utility it has. Doesn't matter on how much it's actually being adopted in the real world. Matter of fact, even in crypto, none of that matters. What matters is where it's situated, like the narratives. What it's known for in the case of Polkadot is interoperability, sort of known for DePIN. We'll get back to what this means here in a minute. Also, Web3 Layer 1, sort of known for Layer 2s. It's known for Layer 0 and cloud infrastructure as well. So these are called the narratives, again, where it's situated in the market. Now, Polkadot has 4 primary narratives, again, the ones in the darker green color here. And this, out of a score in the top most prominent narratives of the bull run, it actually ranks 38 out of 40, which is a very good score, and 2 sub-narratives, which is the DePIN and the Layer 2. So it's kind of known for those areas. It might not pump so much in those narratives as much as it will in, for example, Web3 Layer 1. Overall, this gives me an A tier. It's not the S tier quality project, because an S tier would likely have a couple more primary narratives, for example, if the sub-narratives here were primary narratives. But again, all this really means is that you can pretty well afford yourself to buy any of the projects in any of these narratives. The lower down this list you go, you run the risk of picking a coin that does actually, is quality, but it isn't the one that is the most flavorful for, most people, most of the people buying these projects, which are degens, right? It's dumb money. The meme plays a 1-2 left-right goodnight combination with the narrative, because if we come back to this chart over here, the lower down you go, you're going to have to make sure the meme or what the project is known for really stands out, which is why you have only a few of even all a bunch of quality projects really pop off. Now, the meme for Polkadot is quite strong. It has a few different aspects that are unique to it that, again, goes into the fact of why it is a strong meme in of itself. First of all, it's a Web3 computer, so you can actually buy Blockspace. This is important because you think of a physical computer you have at home. Imagine if you were able to rent out parts of that power of the computer. If you spend 10 grand on a computer and you said to all your friends, hey guys, you can actually rent out parts of the computer. That's effectively what Polkadot is, okay? So people like projects over here in these different colors can rent out the blocks in the blockchain. So as you go, you might have someone else hook up and buy more, right? They obviously pay more for more space. You might have a couple more down here, pay a little bit just to have a little bit of space. But the idea here is massive projects can put up millions of dollars to rent this out for a long period. And if you're a small project getting your toes in the water, you can have very little. But this part of the meme is only very new, so we really haven't seen this pop off quite yet. That's one of the factors I'm bullish in for Polkadot as well. It's also extremely decentralized, secure, fast, and a layer 0 in of itself. So we'll look at some of these updates here momentarily, which goes into part to show you really how decentralized it is. Matter of fact, I will show you the Nakamoto coefficient score over here, where Polkadot is one of the very highest with a score of 93, which means it will take about 93 nodes to overtake the network. Its main competitor, Cosmos, has an extremely low score of only 7. So Polkadot is most definitely ahead of the competition in that aspect. It is highly interoperable as well. It actually invented a new standard called cross-consensus messaging, which also leverages cross-chain messaging protocol as well. These two work hand in hand, and we will again talk about those momentarily. There's also a new burn mechanism coming related to the fees and the proceeds created by this new block space in core time format. And it's also not a security. Very importantly, Polkadot is not a security, guys. So recently there was that whole SEC drama about the SEC filing a whole bunch of lawsuits. They've, sued Binance. They sued, whoever else it was at this point, Bitfinex. And they, of course, listed a whole bunch of securities that were mentioned as to the reason why they were being sued. And interestingly, of course, DOT was not listed on any of those. They've actually been working with the likes of the SEC, breaking new grounds over 3 years. And there could also be a Polkadot ETF coming. Now, this isn't confirmed, but due to the likes of the Grayscale Dynamic Income Fund, which mentions Polkadot as one of the 3 main projects actually in this income fund from Grayscale. Also, Van Eck has an ETN as well, which isn't amazing, huge news, but it's definitely there. And we have an ex-Web3 Foundation and Polkadot counselor recently saying that there is rumors that Polkadot could be one of the next ETF products since it is not a security, okay? So this is some pretty big stuff, and if this actually comes true, you can damn well bet Polkadot's price is going to go through the absolute roof. Now, it's a Web3 heavy project, right? Polkadot is really focused on decentralizing a blockchain, right? Creating, again, this digital block space for people to plug and play with. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of ICP. ICP does, obviously different things as well. Polkadot lays the very foundation for actual blockchains to then build and then be customized on top. So it really truly is like a Web3 layer 0, very foundation. However, in the sense of people can just come in and be very customizable and do whatever they need on like this. Essentially, what is a Web3 cloud? It does remind me again of ICP. So developers can literally rent out the power of an underlying blockchain, again, just like you could if you could rent out parts of your computer. It's very interoperable. This is a big part that they're pushing, right? Interoperability is a massive aspect of crypto that we currently are not utilizing. If you think about all the different blockchains offering all their lists of applications and layer 2s on them, so you imagine all of these different projects and they're all siloed, okay? So all of their ecosystems have a very hard time to connect to one another. And if they can connect to one another, what typically happens? Well, it's over bridges. What do bridges do? Offer basic token transfers. What Polkadot's doing is allowing, again, their cross-consensus messaging to allow these bridges to transfer more than just token to token. They can transfer complicated messages that might interact with, for example, if this was Polkadot, right? It could allow transfers to one chain, interact with a whole bunch of smart contracts, then send a message to another chain, interact with those contracts, send it back to DOT. And like I said, the only competitor to Polkadot is Cosmos, and Polkadot currently is 4 times larger in terms of the size of the market cap. So you can look at that as maybe less multiples, but the way I look at that is it's a safer asset, if you will. Again, even not being deemed as a security. Now, like I said, I made this video 11 days ago on Polkadot, which is actually why I'm making this, because you guys loved it. I also have an exit plan video for Polkadot done like maybe 6 months ago. It was a while back now. So if you're on the channel, go type in over here DOT and you will find a whole bunch of videos on Polkadot. Again, exit plan for DOT over here. And this one does talk more about particular upgrades to Polkadot, which I will gloss over today because I think it is pretty important to touch on those for people who don't want to watch that video. So basically, in essence, there's a few things happening on Polkadot, which is again why I'm bullish. First of all, that Blockspace upgrade, moving away from this parachain auction model, which requires developers and these businesses basically to lock up a whole bunch of DOT for like up to about 20 months or so, which again puts a strain on people like you and I because we have to fund that most of the time. They're moving away from that and allowing people to just go in and straight up buy however much block space they need, so they can buy how much of the Polkadot network they want, leveraging, of course, that security, cross-chain messaging formats. They can also leverage, of course, the speed and everything that goes along with it, okay? So asynchronous backing is part of these upgrades. It's allowing Polkadots in aggregate to process between 100,000 to 1 million TPS. This is going to be done in 2 different ways. One, increasing the execution time on blockchain 4 times, so making it a lot faster basically, and also decreasing the production time from a parablock, which is from the parachains, from 12 seconds to 6 seconds. So in essence, this is theoretically improving the network by 8 times. Also, their Snow Bridge and their XCM and XCMP is, well, it's already out, right? But Snowbridge is being developed right now, which is a connection directly to Ethereum back and forth, but it leverages the cross-consensus messaging and cross-chain messaging protocol. Now, these 2 things are the same thing, right? So cross-consensus messaging allows Polkadot to send messages through any different consensus algorithm. So it can be a blockchain, it can be a parachain, whatever it is. And it doesn't really matter what consensus algorithm it runs. It can instantly connect. And again, the messaging protocol itself just allows that transit to actually occur. If you go to Polkadot right now and have a look at this, you have a whole bunch of these parachains that are listed here, and there's been a lot, and I mean a lot of messages that have occurred. Keep in mind, one of these messages can interact with many different applications all in the one. So really, one XCM message could be as much as 7 to 10 times a normal typical transaction from A to B. So a big part of why layer 1 projects grow and stay strong in perpetuity, so forever, is because of developers, right? And developers are choosing to build and use Polkadot in some capacity. It ranks number 7 on this list, as you can see over here, ahead of Near Protocol, just behind Arbitrum, and actually just behind Cosmos as well. But this is a good sign, right? These new developers over the last 12 months or so have decided to be building on this project, which I think is an indication that these upgrades I just mentioned to you are taking effect. People are realizing this thing is not a security, it's a commodity, and it's ahead of its game. It really is, particularly with the upgrade to block time over these auction models. Now, this is a key part of what, again, makes a blockchain layer 1, layer 2, layer 0 like Polkadot useful forever. Third-party developers are an important part of the end of the flywheel. They create useful applications, which brings utility, which creates end users, creating a community, which goes back into the vision or the meme, which I mentioned to you moments ago. So this all compounds, but it must happen with third-party devs you'll find other layer one projects out there. They can build a strong community based on the idea, but as for the longevity of the project, that's all reliant on bringing on developers. So I get it, right? You're probably thinking to yourself now, well, this all sounds great, Kyron, but why is Polkadot not popping off? Why is it not doing this? Why is it kind of stagnated compared to the rest of the market? Well, I actually believe it is because when the parachains first launched, way back at the end of the last cycle, it built momentum up since Polkadot launched back in about 2020. And then when it happened, the market ended. The market was way down here when those parachains actually launched. A lot of people bonded their Polkadot to trade off basically a whole bunch of these parachain tokens, and they've been left holding the bag. Now, they would have had access to their bags by now, for sure, but that disincentivizes you. Like I mentioned down here, everyone was quite sour, and in crypto, there's no such thing as patience. No one understands these things. No one's breakdowns the math. I was actually saying to people back here, don't enter the parachains, because we were about to have a bear market, but people just didn't listen because people understood this, but they were like, dude, I've been waiting so long for this. I just want to get in. That was literally a lot of people that I was speaking to back then, basically. And of course, everything in crypto relies on how much money you have in your account, and no fault of Polkadot or the parachains. The bull run ended, and basically people had a lot less money than what they'd like to. They obviously, when they could have, sold their DOT. But I think once all of this begins picking up steam again, people will come back to realize, oh shit, Polkadot's the thing. Just like CODI, just like Solana, just like ICP, once people begin to realize, oh, there's something here, it's not just the chart or unfavorable circumstances, people flood back in. So what I've done here is basically predict the possible growth that Polkadot could actually go to in both 2024 and 2025. Now, I'm not going to be breaking this down because due to demand on the channel, people don't like when I break this down quite deep, and people don't like the math. So if you are someone who does enjoy that part of my videos, go over to the private community. I'll be posting separate videos in level 1 so everyone can access these extra videos where I do break all of this down so you can all learn and understand importantly. Long story short, all we're looking for here is what the price will be, and I've factored in the price, the market cap, the supply, all the stuff you would expect from someone actually doing a price prediction correctly. And as well, I'm also predicting what the global market cap will be at these 2 points, which all works off market dominance. Now, what is market dominance? Well, if a project had a percentage of 10% market dominance, that means whatever the global market cap is, say it's 4 trillion, well, that project would have 10% of that 4 trillion, all right? That's its dominance on the entire market in terms of market cap. And so what we're going to do here is, again, forecast what the global market cap should be in late 2024 and late 2025, and then pull down to what the expected dominance should be for Polkadot in terms of what is the average for projects at their all-time high, from their lows to all-time high, and then work out what that will be in terms of price when we factor in the supply. Long story short, okay, it looks like a bear case of Polkadot in 2024, and this is 25, $13 to $24, and average high is 67 to 122, and a bull case, about $134 to $305 token. Keep in mind, this is a 400 billion market cap, so I don't think this will actually happen at all. But what I would suspect, and by the way, this doesn't include burning, what I suspect would likely happen here is a probable high of about $100 in 2025, so the worst case, to about $70, I think. So anywhere between there for either cycle. Again, it could go more, it could even go less. But I think based on everything I've mentioned to you in today's video, not even factoring in the burn mechanisms, I think about 106 billion to 150 billion market cap is probable, somewhere between here for 2025, okay? So very realistic. So lastly, I'll talk about the compounding plan, because this is something, again, you can take away and apply to any crypto project. The amount of times I hear people say, and it's no fault of yours or theirs, you know, I want to hodl for eternity. It's a big part of crypto. Hodl, hodl, hodl. Maybe hodling Bitcoin or Ethereum if you bought it low enough. Everything else, really, in my opinion, non-financial advice, should always be solved. Why? Well, factor in this, all right? Let's run this example through. If you bought Polkadot today at $9, it's a bit less, but let's say $9, and you bought $3,500 worth, so let's just say, again, you bought those 399 tokens. Right, let's pretend, again, Polkadot goes to $100 this cycle, whether it's 2024 or 2025, who cares? Either way, you're smart because you sell it earlier than that, right? You sell it at $70, which in worst case in 2025 would be, again, this number over here, 117 billion market cap, which I think is very reasonable for Polkadot. You'd make $28,000, right? It's an 8x. However, of course, let's fast forward again to 2028. And what would happen is you would probably want to keep some of that $28,000 for tax or, buy some nappies for your child. And then over here, you probably reinvest 25 grand. Now, the interesting thing about Polkadot is you can do this. Again, going back to the fact that they're looking to grow in perpetuity, they have a great, growing ecosystem. It will be around in the next bull run. It will. Might even have an ETF at that point as well. So then at that point, at $20 lows, so I think Polkadot will probably go lower than $20 at their lows. But let's say you average buy in at $20 and you buy as much as you can with that $25,000, you'd be able to pick up a nice crisp 1,250 tokens. Now with that, if we just throw a conservative 2x on the top of the all-time high from this cycle, and it goes to $200 in the next cycle, you manage to sell out at $150. The market cap would be about $350 billion, but mind you, that's a lot more obtainable than what you think. I've actually factored in supply in that case as well. So we're looking at highest, worst possible case in that situation. You'd be able to then make $188,000. So you're 15.5x total, but what you've done is turned $3,500 into 188 grand. So in terms of your money, you've 53x your money, and you can't do this multi-cycle compounding plan with any old altcoin. It has to be a quality one for the longevity like Polkadot. Now, notice I said 15.5x. You 15.5x the dollar amount in terms of Polkadot itself, but you 53x'd your actual money, which is insane. That's like meme coin level stuff, right? But if you were someone who just hodled from today until the next cycle, that's a 17x in total. So it's more multiples here in terms of price, but in terms of how much money you've multiplied, well, of course, you've just simply multiplied by the multiples in the price as well, if that makes sense, all right? Because you have it compounded. So in this case, you make 60 grand. So what would you rather, 60 grand or 188 grand? I think the answer there is pretty self-explanatory, right? So guys, taking all this information in, I think a lot of people get confused with some of these videos when I talk about being financially free, because you might be someone who can afford to invest $10,000 and it's all proportionate, right? Someone who can invest $3,500 might not be someone who can afford to invest $10,000. Maybe their entire portfolio is $10,000. But this plan and this strategy secures safer gains with less upside, like we're not looking for a 20 or 30x for this cycle, in a strong project that is currently, I believe, potentially undervalued. So thanks so much for watching this video, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed. And if you have, again, drop down there right now and leave me a like, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Take care.